Welcome to Replenish the Atmosphere of Discovery, where we discover the Master's plan for our lives. Today's session is on community. So, community is any environment, virtual, physical, or supernatural, that shares a common location, common perspectives, interests, characteristics, and goals. Okay. Community is any environment, virtual, physical, or supernatural, that shares a common location, common perspectives, interests, characteristics, or goals, right? And this environment shares their values, their religion, their culture, and even identities. Okay, that's very important. So your community matters. The environment that you are in matters because they will determine how far you go or how low you stay. Okay. Your community is your circle of influence, right? And this circle influences your mindset, which influences your thoughts, your feelings, and behaviors, which affects your personality and character, right? So your mindset or your mentality is directed by your personality. But if your personality is influenced by an injury or a trauma or um, other people, then your mindset will change as well, right? And so this determines how you view the world. And it can also alter how you begin to frame your world, starting from childhood, right? Whatever things we have experienced, the environment that we're in begins to shape our identity and our personality, okay, and our mindset. So if our circle of influence has created a flawed mindset, then our lives will be the manifestation of that, right? So that's why your community or your environment matters. So if you have been experiencing anxiety, it may be placed there due to your environment, right? Your environment should be creating a atmosphere that is conducive to growth and in evolving, right? But if your environment is negatively influencing you, then it creates a deferred hope, right? Which anxiety is hope that has been tainted. It is hope with a negative influence. If you think about when you begin to experience anxiety, it's because maybe there was this expectation, right, that was deferred, this expectation that was tainted with the negative influence, right? Anxiety is hope that is mixed with fear, or like I said, the expectation that is mixed with dread, right? And so it can be a good or bad expectation mixed with fear that leads to anxiety. Okay, so you can be expecting something great that will lead to anxiety, or you can always be expecting something bad and it still will lead to anxiety. But it doesn't help if the environment that you're in is also negative, right? Because it causes you to lose your hope. And so this comes from having hopeful conversations with the wrong people. How many of you have been there, right? You have this hope, you have this expectation, and because of your environment, the people that you're talking to, they talk you out of that hope, right? And so you may have already dealt with the fear of the unknown as you go towards your goals in life, but at least you still had hope. So don't allow anyone or anything to offend your hope, because when someone offends your hope, it weakens your spirit. It breaks your heart sometimes, and it causes you to lose the momentum that you have and even your will to live an abundant life when you allow someone to offend your hope. So be very careful about that. Okay. When we are not taught to form our own perspectives, but to act, look, feel, and think like the influences outside of us, we become affected by outsiders more than our innate desire to be authentic, right? So we are taught as children how to act, how to look, how to feel, and how to think according to someone else's perspective. And if their perspective is flawed, guess what? Now your identity and your mindset and your perspective is based on that same flawed individual or that same flawed environment. But your innate desire, even the desire to belong, it doesn't automatically make you want to be like everybody else. It should be an environment where you can be yourself, completely yourself, and still evolve and still grow, right? Because your identity is what makes you you. So, due to whatever environment you're in, and we're placed in different environments at different times, right? When we're growing up, we have no control over that. But as you go into high school and things like that, you decide who your friend groups are going to be, right? And as you become an adult, you decide who you're going to marry. You decide if you're going to have children, right? And so that all of these are community, right? Because it shares common perspectives, common interests, characteristics, and goal. All of these are forms of community. Your body is a community, okay? Your mind should be sharing the same values as your spirit, as your body, as your organs, right? And when it doesn't, you see a breakdown in one of those areas, right? A broken spirit can cause brokenness in the body, brokenness in the mind. And there must be harmony and balance because your mindset will influence your body to live or die. I know you've heard of people that as long as they didn't know they were sick, they were healthy. But soon as someone told them they were sick, they began to decline because their spirit was broken. If you have a strong spirit, I believe you can outlive anything, right? But it's when that spirit breaks that it causes that hope to be deferred, and it causes the person to lose that will to live and lose that will to survive. Okay, so understand that even your body has to be in balance. You have to share the same goals, right? Because if your mind shares the same goals as your organs, you're going to be healthy. You're going to think healthy. You're going to do things that are healthy. You're not going to do things that are detrimental to your health, right? So that's one thing I wanted to point out, that your body is a community, okay? So with the people that you are around, you have nothing in common with, chances are you are stuck or stunted and will submit yourself to their perspectives, to their culture, to their religion, to their identity, so on and so forth, right? So even if you go into a community, if your goal is to shift this community, you still have to have other people outside of the community that you are shifting that's going to pour into you, that's going to encourage you, that's going to cause you to grow. Because if you stay there without a community of your own, you will succumb to their ways, right? And religion simply means anything you observe or have reverence for outwardly, like a certain duty, a certain practice, or a certain ritual. A lot of times we think of religion just being about a church or just being about a denomination. But if you are devoted to a certain duty, that's a religion, right? So going to work every day is a religion for some people, okay? So you can religiously do anything, okay? And religion is a community, right? And so some people you think are your community because you know them, right? Because you grew up with them, because you share space with them, like y'all live in the same neighborhood. But they really are not for you. And we see this often in neighborhoods and society. We see this in family. We see this among race relations, right? You claim them as community, as family, as friends, yet they offer no valuable influence in your life. You get to choose your community as an adult. You may not be able to do that as a child, right? And please understand that where you grew up, the environment you grew up in, shaped you, shaped your emotions, it shaped your perspective, right? And so as an adult, once you uh, have the ability to manage that, then you got to start seeing, okay, this is because of the environment I was in. This is because of the community I was a part of. Do I want to keep it, or do I not? Right. You have to decide that you don't have to become where you were born, or what family you were born into, if that was a family that was not progressing or not growing and seeing the abundance that life has to offer. Right. So a healthy community's values, goals, and interests are shared, supported, and encouraged. A healthy community's values, goals, and interests are shared, supported, and encouraged. A healthy community, your values, goals, and interests are shared, supported, and encouraged, right? So if the people in your community don't share your interests, that's okay as long as they respect and encourage you. So I just want to give some context to that. For instance, I have no desire to be a veterinarian, right? But I would encourage and support your efforts. Okay. You might not have a desire to go certain places, but I'm going to support and encourage your efforts. When people constantly disrespect and demean your values and goals, and they're tempting you to do the opposite of what puts you in the right position, making you choose between progress and contentment, they shouldn't be a part of your circle. They shouldn't be a part of your community, right? And then you have people that see you making forward movement and they will intentionally derail you or make you place your destiny on hold, right? When you help people, if it puts you out of time and money, that will be replaced, right? But when it forces you outside of your purpose as well, you may not get there again. You may not ever get to that place again. There's always an appointed time in your destiny that is not guaranteed to repeat itself or to come back around in that same measure, right? And I know some of you can think of some times where everything just lined up and something caused you to miss that mark, and your life could be so much different had you took that opportunity, right? Had you made that decision instead of another decision. And then it might come back around, but now it's not as fruitful as it could have been, right? So you missing that appointed time can cost you. Okay. And God graces us to help those in need, right? And when we do, we know it's God because what we put in or what we sow, we reap. It may not be in the same way you gave. So, like if you gave somebody money, you may not get money in return, but you will still reap from what you sowed, right? Um, when you help people because they manipulated your emotions and God didn't give you the grace for that, you will suffer tremendously. Okay. And if you have a pattern of doing that, then it's because you're simply solving your own problem when you were in their position, right? And no one helped you. So your emotional memory recalls that moment, and you actually become your savior by helping someone else, right? But they are abusing your grace to help others in need. So that's what happens. We attach that memory to when we were in the same situation, right? And people know that you were in the same situation and they will abuse that. Okay, so that's why we need to truly have discernment. Discernment is not mental or emotional, it's spiritual, right? You want spiritual discernment, right? And it's spiritual because our memories and our emotions will keep us broke. It'll put us in jail. It'll keep us hungry. It'll keep us hopeless. It'll keep us depressed. It'll keep us off of the path that we are supposed to be on. So when we discern, you don't discern from your mind and your emotions. You discern from the spirit. It's spiritual. You need God's supernatural discernment, right? And because he is the spirit of truth, you will not be lied to. You will not be manipulated into doing things that cause you to derail your purpose for being here. Okay. So you need to discern where your community is, not mentally and emotionally, because some communities don't make you feel good, but they're the right community that you need to be in, right? Because they push you to grow, they push you to evolve, right? You need to discern who's in your community, who's in your circle, who's in that circle of influence, right? And you need to discern what their values and what their goals are. Okay. A lot of people that we are around, we don't even know what they value. We have no clue what their goals are. Their goal could be to sabotage every person that does better than them, and you have no clue that that's what their goal is, right? So your community influences your perspective and helps form your identity. Okay. You may have a shared identity with somebody or something that doesn't even belong to you, but you have said that this is who I am because that is who they were or who they are. Okay. You may identify as a loser because that's all that you were around. And by loser, I mean somebody who doesn't have the attitude to strive toward anything, right? They believe that losing keeps them safe from responsibility and accountability, but it doesn't, because you are responsible and you are accountable for where you are in life, right? A loss is never a permanent thing unless you're no longer breathing. Okay. You can always turn a loss into a win, right? Losing is not a permanent state. It is a mindset that you do not want to adopt or allowed to influence your destiny. Okay. You may identify as a failure because your community fails constantly. If there's nobody in your community that wins, you need to get out of that community. You need to get out of that environment, right? You only see failure even when you're standing in the midst of a win. You find the thing that will make you fail and you do it because you're in a community of people who continue to fail. Okay. You may identify as wealthy, right? But being wealthy with the poverty mindset, right? Because your community seeks value in things rather than experiences and legacy. Okay. So your sight is limited when you are in a community that limits you. You should have a community of people that you aspire to grow into being like, right? If everybody in your community is beneath you in their behaviors and the way they think, before long, you're going to be down there with them, right? Um, if your community limits you, it's full of, no, you can't. That's impossible. That will never happen, right? You hear that a lot. Meanwhile, the rest of the world continues to do those very things that people are telling you you can't do, right? You're watching them do it, but your limited mindset that you adopted is now your identity, right? So you can't even see it when you see it. When you see other people doing the thing that somebody else told you you can't do, you can't even see that you can do it, right? And these are flawed mindsets that we may have due to the environment that we have succumbed to, right? So your environment should have enough emotional intelligence to understand you. And when they don't, because there's always going to be a win, right? Be willing to allow you to express yourself. And they should help you manage and express your emotions, your goals, your progress, and your failures, right? Without stripping you of your identity or your will. Okay. And they can do this without resistance, right? You ever feel like, there's some type of resistance when you start to express your goals about something, you start to express your progress, right? But a healthy community, a healthy environment allows you to do this without resisting you, right? And actually being present so that you don't get so overwhelmed with life. You should be able to go to your community and discuss your issues with them, right? As yourself, not as somebody that has it all together, right? As your authentic self. You should have a community of people that you can share your interests with, that you can share your problems with, that you can share your goals with, and it causes you to grow and evolve. Okay. So if you begin to share an identity with the wrong community, you will profess loyalty to those who support and facilitate your downfall. I'm going to say that again. If you share an identity with the wrong community, you will profess loyalty to those who support and not only support your downfall, they facilitate your downfall. Okay. People are loyal to what hurts them because they want to belong and they want to belong quickly, right? There's nothing wrong with taking time to find your tribe, to find your community. It is worth the effort to not be wrong, right? And God created community for us to bond and for us to unify with his plan so we can walk this thing out together, right? To unify with his plan to prosper us and glorify him, right? So be loyal to like-minded people. Be loyal to his plan for you in spite of your fears, in spite of your shortcomings, right? Be loyal to the harmony and peace you should have in your mind, in your body, in your spirit, and in your environment. Okay. Again, your mind should be agreeing with your spirit and your body so that they are functioning as one community. How you are thinking, your body will manifest, your spirit will manifest, right? So it pays to have a healthy mind, to have a healthy spirit, to have a healthy body. Okay. And this is your personal community, right? Along with your children, right? And your spouse, your friends, your other family members that you come in contact with, that you may have some sort of influence into their destinies, right? And so I want you to evaluate your communities, okay? You need to discern if you don't have one, you need one, right? You cannot do life by yourself. You can try and you can be in survival mode, but in order to prosper, you need a community. Okay, you need to discern where your community is, who's in it, what are their values and goals? Have they expressed them to you? Have you expressed your values to them? Or did you just want to fit in? Did you just want a friend group? Did you just want covet something that they have so you became friends with them and their friends, right? Discern your community. Okay, a healthy community's values, goals, and interests. Remember, they're shared, supported, and encouraged. If you're a part of a community that doesn't agree with anything you do, that's not the right community. And even if you have a community where you don't like what they say, but you see yourself growing, you see yourself evolving, that's still the community you're supposed to be in, right? Because your feelings are not a part of it. Okay. You can decide how you want to feel about it. So if you feel a way about people that are growing you, that are causing you to prosper, then if this is the life you want to live, then you need to check your feelings, right? Okay, why am I feeling this way? Is it because of rejection? Is it because of abandonment? Is it because of pride? Is it because I just don't want to be told what to do, right? But you not listening to people that have already been where you're trying to go, that will be your downfall, right? So you make yourself more comfortable with people that are lower because they're not going to tell you what to do. Okay, well, before long, you're going to be down there with them. Right. So remember that community is an environment that is virtual, physical, or supernatural. You share common location, common perspectives, interests, characteristics, and goals, right? And even identity. Okay. So your community matters. Who's in your circle matters. Okay. This is your circle of influence, whether you like it or not. And if you are called to a group of people that you have to elevate, you still need a community outside of those people that will promote you, that will support you, that will cause you to continue to evolve and not come down to the people that you are trying to help get from where they are, right? And so I hope that this was beneficial to you all. I hope that you would take the time to assess your environment, even assess the environments that you had growing up that may have some of these characteristics in your identity that are flawed, some of these characteristics in your perspectives that are flawed, that you need to check, that you need to decide what you're going to do about it, because you're accountable and responsible for where your life is now, right? Again, please ponder on your environment. It must be conducive to growth, right? Don't let family slide, don't let friends slide. No, it must be conducive to growth. Okay, some people you got to handle from a far distance, right? Because they are affecting you. And so we have a lot of toxic relationships amongst coworkers, amongst family, in churches, even in homes, like between parents and children. Okay, sometimes you got to limit their influence in your life because they will turn you into bitter people, right? They will totally change your character and change your perspective, and you'll start looking at the world just because of your interaction with them, just because of their influence in your life, right? And you don't want anybody to change who God created you to be, right? So if there's some ways that you have that is not yours, you just adopted them to try to cope with dealing with other people, get rid of them. It's not worth that one interaction or those couple of interactions, however many you had. It's not worth for you to change who God created you to be, right? To turn into something or somebody else because of someone else, right? And it can derail your destiny, because if you're looking at life from the perspective of this influence of this person that have made you bitter, you will miss your appointment. You will miss where you're supposed to be elevated, to grow, to even glorify God, right? And so check your community, check your environments. Find out what their values and goals are. If you haven't asked your family, hey, what are our family goals? They say, oh, just to make dinner and go to bed. I'm gonna need a bigger goal than that as a family. What do we value? You know, because people that even your children are around, if they don't value the same things you value, they're influencing your children to not have value in certain areas. Friends do it all the time. Your friends can talk you into not valuing yourself, right? When you're a part of the wrong friend groups. Okay. And so think about that, everyone. And I pray you all have a blessed weekend. I pray that you even stop being afraid to find a community, because it's real easy, especially like for people like me, it's real easy for me to be a community of one. Right? But you still need people. Okay, so if you don't have a community, find people that are where you aspire to be, people that will pour into you. And you may not always like what they say, but if it causes you to grow, that's someone that needs to be in your circle. Okay. So think about that. And I pray you all have a blessed weekend.